In this episode, I'll be going through all of the drama at the moment around the Cardano budget. There's a lot of talk about the budgets being approved at the moment, and we will eventually need to vote on all of this. This is in a couple of months' time at least, after the next Chang hard fork. Chang hard fork 2, that is. You've already experienced the first one where governance is coming into play, but this next one will allow withdrawals from the Cardano Treasury. And this is what the community is all up in arms about. I've got some details here for you guys and some learning resources so you can learn a little bit more about what's going on, so you can also participate within this governance process and work out how this budget's going to go for 2025 for Cardano. Let's get into it. All right, hey everyone, welcome back to the Learn Cardano podcast. I'm Peter Buey. If this is your first time here, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, notification bell. Let's get right into this one. I've got a lot to go through here. The very first thing is this tweet from the Intersect CBC, or the Cardano Budget Committee. There is a specific committee looking after the budget, but this big thread came out that talks through everything that has been going on at the moment, all the accusations, and what the community has been asking for. Now, this is all clarification in regards to all of these questions, and I wanted to highlight and go through all this so that you guys are informed. The more you know, the more I know, the more what I can share with you guys, the better educated we are and the better decisions we can make as a community. So first of all, the first misconception here is that Intersect controls the Treasury. So let's back up one sec. Intersect is a members-based organization that was set up to help this entire governance process. And there's a lot of people that join Intersect. I'm an Intersect member as well. And you can join for, I think it's $10 US a year. So it's a very low membership to be a part of this governance body for Cardano. So the first one to go through here is that Intersect controls the Treasury. No, not quite. Intersect is merely the administrator. The Cardano Development Foundation, the CDF, holds the funds with legal mandate that money can only be spent for the community's benefit. Of course, now this opens up the question, who is part of the Cardano Development Foundation? What are these legal mandates and other things? I will try and find out for you guys, and I'll put links down below for you. Point 2 here, the Budget Committee makes spending decisions. In fact, they only facilitate the process. Spending decisions are made by the DReps and the Constitutional Committee through the voting process. Third point, all Treasury funds will be converted to fiat. ADA remains on-chain in wallets. Only monthly operational costs are converted as needed. This has been one of the big things that people are afraid of. All of this ADA being converted out and having that huge amount of sell pressure at a certain point in time, crashing ADA's price. So if we have it on a monthly basis, that sell pressure wouldn't be as high. But as an ADA holder, this is something that you may need to be aware of when these conversions are being made, because this obviously needs to be done. You need to pay people and they need to convert it out to fiat currencies for those payments, especially if you're working with a third-party vendor that doesn't accept cryptocurrency. So you have to convert it to fiat and make those payments. So this will eventually have an impact on the price of ADA when these withdrawals are done. So something to be mindful of for when that happens. Point 4, the Treasury will be depleted too quickly. 300 to 500 million ADA proposal withdrawals aligns with annual Treasury inflows. So the Treasury inflows, they come from transaction fees. So there's a transaction fee tax, which gets automatically sent to the Treasury. And there's also the staking rewards that the Treasury gets. And all those ADA is accumulated over time every single epoch. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later as well. I've got some screenshots about how much the Treasury has grown over the years. Point 5, funds will be controlled by a single entity. So these are the actual entities that will be controlling the funds with oversight. There's the community elected committee members, the external auditors, the DRep voting, such as myself and any of you out there that have registered as DReps who'll be controlling how this money is being spent, the Constitutional Committee review, and quarterly public reporting. So there's a lot of checks and measures there for how the funds are going to be controlled. Point 6, process lacks transparency. And here's the clarification. Every aspect of this is in the public: regular financial reporting, quarterly reviews, public committee meetings, accessible documentation, community feedback channels. Now, I have to say that this all sounds very good. There is one caveat here, and a lot of the public channels are in Discord, and you will need to be an Intersect member to be able to access that Discord server. So that's one thing that just needs to be clarified. If you want to get access to the community feedback channels and see what's going on, or even join some of this process, you will need to be an Intersect member. So it's not 100% public with all the daily interactions. Of course, there'll be public reports and public reviews and everything like that, but you will need to join Intersect to be able to see some of this background information and activity that's happening on a daily basis. Point 7, small projects won't get funding. Now, this is a fear that a lot of people will have, and this is because the Treasury funding is for the large players out there. It really is. You'll be seeing hundreds of millions of ADA being withdrawn from one particular project every single year to be able to pay for the various activities that they do. So this is something that we're going to see and something that we have to get used to, large Treasury withdrawals. For the small community projects out there, there'll still be Catalyst, and Catalyst itself will also have to withdraw funds from the Treasury, which it actually does at the moment, if you didn't realize. If you have a look at Fund 13, this fund is pulling out 50 million ADA from the fund, and that will primarily be used to help fund and build smaller projects in the ecosystem. Point 8, budget decisions are made behind closed doors. I have to say the process is very open. I've been sitting on the marketing working group's budget proposals and seeing them formulated all. You can join the meetings at any point in time. They're scheduled on a weekly basis, and you can have a look at what the teams have been talking about and what they're actually doing. So from my point of view, it is very transparent. It is very open, and you can sit back and just watch and participate that way. So in regards to budget decisions being behind closed doors, that is completely incorrect. Point 9, ADA withdrawals won't benefit the ecosystem. And here's the correction. Every bucket directly supports ecosystem growth. Core developments increase utility, research-driven innovation, education expands adoption, grants foster development. Now, this is from a presentation at the Dubai Summit just recently, and this presentation goes through the entire budget decision process, how the budgeting works for Intersect, and how you guys will be participating in it as a Cardano community member. Highly recommend that you check this one out here. But you can see here it highlights the budget buckets: core, research, governance support, outreach, education, and community grants. That's the Catalyst bucket, for example. So all the ecosystem withdrawals that are coming up will be filling those buckets and contributing back to the ecosystem to help its growth. Point 10, the process is too centralized. Now, this structure is made in a way to help decentralize the entire decision-making process, state pool delegation to the SPOs, because SPOs can vote within the process, community-driven decisions, distributed governance, and public participation opportunities. Now, I know over the last year or so, there've been a lot of workshops happening to help involve people in the decision-making process. Everything from the constitutional workshops that have just been run to the DRep workshops, which I participated in a little bit earlier, and even a Project Catalyst workshop, which I helped organize as well here in Sydney, Australia. So there's a lot of these working groups and workshops where the public can come in, anyone can come in, as long as you register and be a part of the process. So there's lots of opportunities out there. I have to say a lot of the community discussion and arguments do happen on X. X is a very insular and very closed ecosystem, I believe. I know the information is all public, anyone can read it, but it's a very circular community, and it would be great if we could actually expand out of that X bubble and expand to other social media networks where a lot of other people are participating in, such as Facebook or TikTok, just to get the communication out there, and then more people be able to participate and put in their 2 cents in regards to what's happening within the space. Point 11, there's no accountability. There is multiple levels of accountability, from external audits, quarterly reviews, public reporting, community oversight, legal compliance requirements. Now, I don't know who the external auditors are or anything like this, and I would love to get some more information about this. Hopefully I can tee up an interview with the Intersect Budget Committee, so then I can have a bit more of an idea and educate you guys about how the accountability is being taken care of within this process. The timeline is too rushed. Now, these are the periods of review that have been put into place. There's a committee review, there's community feedback, there's DRep consideration, and then the constitution alignment checks. So I don't know how long this process goes on for. I'm assuming it is for at least a few months to be able to get through all of these levels of checks. But it seems to me that a lot of community members may not know that this is happening. And the part of the problem here is that there's lack of communication or not enough communication, or again, that communication is being done on X and it has that insular effect where it doesn't expand out of its bubble. So I think a lot of this education and communication around the budgeting and the timeline could expand elsewhere so that more people can get their eyes on it. Fact 13 here, you can't participate unless you're a DRep. And here's the facts. There are multiple ways that you can participate. There's the working groups, there's committee meetings, public discussions, community feedback, and special interest groups. There are a lot of ways that you can participate. The only thing here with a lot of these things is that you do, again, need to be a member within Intersect to be able to be a part of these special groups. Now, if you want to learn more about the budgeting process, I highly encourage you to check out the budgeting video from the Dubai Summit this year. It goes through all the different aspects of the budgeting, how it's worked, how the teams have decided the buckets were chosen. There's various different questions from the community. It was a very interactive experience. It does go on for a long time. It's about an hour and a half, but I did watch it at 1x speed, so it was fairly easy to consume and go through. So please check out that video. I highly recommend that you do. There is also a budget survey that comes with it as well. So once you watch the video, participate in the survey and give the team some feedback as well. Now, one of the other criticisms about the budget is that it's a single annual withdrawal of ADA. So we are going to see a massive amount of ADA being withdrawn from the Treasury at one go across all the different budget committees. So we're going to see 300 to 500 million ADA get pulled out of the Cardano Treasury. And a lot of people will go, whoa, hang on, that's way too much money. Maybe we should put in some monthly checks or have monthly payment milestones so that we can ensure that the teams are delivering on what they're promising. Now, there's a lot of arguments about this, and I personally think it's much easier and better for teams to withdraw the money all in one go. Charles has that same sentiment. He's been working with many big organizations, and they need those large annual budgets to be able to work with these other organizations. Now, Dave here from Invalid EUTXO, he runs a lot of Cardano events, and I used to run a lot of Cardano events. But to be able to run those events, you need a lot of budget behind you. You need a lot of capital up front to pay for the pull-up banners, the exhibit stands, and everything else that you have when you're doing these conferences and exhibitions. And that costs a lot of money. For example, Oz CryptoCon coming up in November this year in Australia, the booth alone was $50,000 just to have that space. You got to pay that up front. Then you have to pay for the display itself. You have to have someone design it. You have to have someone construct it and put it all together, deliver it. You have to pay for the teams. So there's a lot of upfront costs here. That was another $20,000 to $30,000. So already I'm up for a bill of $80,000 and I haven't even gone to the event. And this is all paid upfront 6 months beforehand so that the teams can plan things. You can get sponsorship in place for your own booth or whatever it is, and you can get it constructed. So these are all upfront costs, and to have that paid out in milestones isn't feasible. You need to get this done 8 months before the particular event, have it all organized and in production. So, but there's a lot of things that you can't do without that annual budget set in stone beforehand and withdrawn out. So I'd share Charles's sentiments here and also Dave's from our various experiences in working in the crypto space and just working in trade shows and exhibits in general. Now, another concern that the Cardano community raised was that Intersect wants to stake their large withdrawals. So if one particular committee, budget committee, pulls out 100 million ADA, they want to be able to stake that ADA and earn from those ADA rewards. Personally, as a committee member and someone that is trying to pull those funds, that totally makes sense to me. So then you can have that extra ADA in reserves, and then that way, if that price of ADA falls for whatever reason, you have the extra ADA in your back pocket so you can fill those particular gaps. Or if the price of ADA increases, you can spend a little bit more ADA on whatever you need to spend it on. So for me, that sounds really good. Now, the concern here is that because that ADA is being pulled out and those rewards are going to the withdrawer from the committee, those ADA rewards aren't going back to the Treasury. So it takes longer for the Treasury's reserves to be replenished. So that is a bit of concern there. So we're going to see more withdrawals from the Treasury and that Treasury levels deplete over time. And this is what we're looking at the moment. This is the Cardano Treasury. Well, let me get the live data here for you. This is it here. It's a little bit hard to see because I can't zoom in. It doesn't scale as you would expect it to. But if I hover my mouse over the last epoch here, we're at 1.4 billion ADA in the Cardano Treasury at the moment. So it's a fairly decent chunk of money. If you have a look at over here, the ADA Treasury per epoch, this gives you an idea of how much ADA the Treasury earns from its staking rewards. So this goes from the Cardano reserves over to the Treasury. And it's about 4.4 million ADA. You can kind of see it better on this screenshot here. So 4.6 in epoch 518. So it's a fair chunk of ADA that's going back to the Treasury from those staking rewards from the amount of ADA that's being held. Now, the guys from Denogo pointed out this awesome visualization here of the Treasury withdrawals at tempo.vote/Treasury. Now here, this is the Cardano Treasury projection here. So for every epoch, we can estimate how much we're getting per epoch. So if at the moment we're only seeing 61,000 or 80,000 ADA being contributed back to the Treasury every epoch, and the Treasury withdrawals per year is at 300 million ADA, which they are at the moment, we'll see the Treasury deplete and empty out by 2035, roughly 2030, end of 2034, so 2035. So in 10 years' time, we'll see that massive 1.4 billion ADA Treasury deplete to absolutely nothing. Now, I'm in two minds here. What's the Treasury for if we don't spend it to try and drive more adoption of the Cardano ecosystem? Maybe we should completely spend this over the next 10 years to try and drive ADA's adoption higher than it ever has been before. Personally, I think that's a good thing. You need to spend the money to be able to gain this level of adoption. Now, just to remind you guys that it was being rumored that it will cost $100 million US to integrate USDC from Circle to the Cardano ecosystem. That's a lot of money. So at the moment, what's the price of ADA? It's 36 cents or something like that. So let's say it's just 33 cents times up by 3, roughly $1. So we need 300 million ADA spent just on one single project to get USDC onto the Cardano ecosystem. Maybe that's good. Maybe that's ADA well worth spent. I don't know. We've seen USDC integrate onto Algorand. It didn't do anything for Algorand. But you know, this is the levels of funding that we need to pull out to be able to gain traction and start moving within the Cardano ecosystem. Everyone's complaining that ADA is essentially a stablecoin. Let's do something about it. Let's spend this treasury funds so that we can make ADA great. I don't want to use that acronym. All right. Now, if you do want to join in on this activity, there's a lot of budgeting process workshops here. These are all online, all on Google Meet. There's one today at 11:30 p.m. my time. There's one on Friday at 2 a.m. I won't be going to that one. And then next week on the 13th and on the 20th, the following week at more reasonable times, there's one at 7 p.m. So I'll try and attend that one. But there's one week after another. So if you are wanting to learn more about the budget process, join these particular workshops, raise your concerns, talk about the process, and argue against the committee and everyone else that is working there at the moment, so we can make this process a lot better. You can see a lot of people are joining these particular workshops. We've got about maybe 40 or so people in that one, maybe 22 in that one. So yeah, we need more people to be joining these particular workshops, these Cardano budget process workshops, so we can get a better understanding of what's happening. Now, from a technical point of view, the Cardano preview network is being upgraded at the moment with the latest Cardano node version, Cardano node 10.1.1, I think it was. But it's being upgraded so it can go through the hard fork process. so that we can actually test out and see how this all works from a technical aspect. From what I've heard, it's going pretty well, and we don't need to worry about the technical side of things. We need to worry about the non-technical, the human side of things, where the budget is involved. That's where all the focus is at the moment. From another human side of things, we need a lot more DReps. We need more people registered as DReps or delegated to existing DReps out there. At the moment, the amount of ADA that is staked and is delegated to DReps is 1.38 billion ADA. Now, the amount of ADA that is staked at the moment is 22.43 billion ADA. So with a quick calculation there, it's about 6% of all the staked ADA is being delegated to a DRep at the moment. That is nowhere near enough the amount of ADA that should be staked to DReps to really have an overall picture of how the Cardano community or the Cardano holders out there are thinking and how they're feeling about this whole delegation and this whole governance process. We need to really encourage our delegates. If you're a stake pool operator out there, try and engage with your delegates out there and get them to delegate to DReps, whether it's yourself, whether they register it themselves, whether they find a really good DRep out there that knows what's going on in the ecosystem. We need more people participating in this governance process. If you need any resources, I've got lots of videos in regards to being a DRep, how to register yourself as a DRep, how to delegate to an existing one, using Eternal Wallet, using your ROI, whatever it is. So I've got lots of videos out there taking you through that process, as well as written tutorials. So just do a search, how to delegate to a DRep or how to register as a DRep. One of my videos and tutorials should come up. So there's a lot of resources out there for you guys. And if you need a DRep to delegate to, this is my DRep ID here. You can find it on my X profile, Astroboy Soup. You can find that and delegate to this particular DRep ID. The ADA doesn't leave your wallet. I don't see any of it. I don't know who you are. It's completely anonymous when it happens. Now, all the details in regards to how I actually vote for each of the governance actions can be found on the learncardano.io website. You can also find my DRep IDs there in both formats too. Now, in some other good news for the Cardano ecosystem, I've got some project updates here for you. The Bodega markets, this is the prediction market that's launched on Cardano, is now live, and where you can access it, you can predict or participate in all these prediction markets. And overall, it's been going quite well in its first day of launch. Someone actually put in a 20,000 USD bet on Kamala Harris winning the presidential election this year. So if we have a look at Bodega markets at the moment, this is the presidential election winner result. We almost have 51,000 USDM on this particular prediction here, with almost an even. We have more people on the Donald Trump side now at 21,000 USDM. So overall, this is really cool. Bodega markets on mainnet now. There's a lot of other prediction markets that you can bet on as well. And as you can see here, there's a lot of other prediction markets that you can bet on as well. So there's a lot happening here at the moment in the Cardano space, and Bodega markets, congratulations you guys for launching. Now on the DEX side of things, Minswap has now launched on and off ramps for the DEX. This is done through MercuryO, and this is an awesome way for you to be able to on and off ramp directly into ADA or out of ADA to fiat currencies wherever they are. So this is really good news. Makes using the DEX so much easier. You can log into the DEX itself, use Min Wallet, which is built into the DEX, and then on and off ramp yourself directly through the ecosystem there. So really good to see. Congratulations, Minswap, for integrating that. The Minswap team have also revamped their staking mechanisms. There's no longer 1, 3, or 6 month options on the platform. There's only 9-month staking with higher yield rewards from that. So if you are going long on the Minswap platform, this particular option may be appealing to you. That way you can stake your Min tokens and earn some extra APR for it. So please check that one out. I'll put links down below for you guys so you can do a little bit more research and get a better understanding of how this all works. Another really cool update is Minswap's integration with CoinMarketCap's DEXScan. And now you can see the data from Minswap integrated directly into CoinMarketCap. This is a really important thing because a lot of people do look at platforms such as CoinMarketCap to get their information about what's happening across all of crypto. So if they're jumping through various DEXs and they click on Cardano and they don't see this data, they just assume that there's no DEXs on Cardano. So having this data there doing the work for it is really important. So here you can actually see the data itself. You can see all the various token pairs. There's a lot of token pairs. There's a lot of activity happening on the Cardano ecosystem. But of course, you can see the Minswap V2, V1, Wi-Fi, and also Wing Riders DEX. All of their data is on there. And you can see what's been trading and what's been happening across the Cardano ecosystem. So awesome to see, guys. Congratulations, Minswap. Now, on the topic of data being available for all of these various platforms out there, the TapTools teams are working on a particular catalyst proposal that will help this even further. We saw a couple of weeks back that this guy here, Fred Krueger, was fighting Cardano and not understanding what's going on in general. Now, he was using platforms such as this to have a look at the transaction volume and what's happening in the Cardano ecosystem. So yeah, we've got an ad there, but Dex Hunter, he's looking at this and seeing daily volume, not that much. And if you have a look here, JPEG Store, the biggest NFT marketplace on Cardano, only has a transaction volume of 5 USD. Now, we know this data is incorrect, but other people are looking at this data and taking it for verbatim and believe that this is all 100% accurate. So this is something that we as a community need to correct. We need to work with each one of these platforms out there, correct the data, provide the data in a way that they can consume, and TapTools is working on that. If you want to learn more about it, I'll put links down below for this particular catalyst proposal, but they do already have a lot of the data. They're the premier data platform on the Cardano ecosystem. Having that data available for platforms such as DApp Radar and the likes of that, they'll be able to consume that data more easily and have a better comparison to the rest of the crypto space. So if you want to support the developers out there, check out this particular catalyst proposal. Supporting this one, I believe, will help the entire Cardano ecosystem. All right, that's all I have for you guys in this particular update. A lot there around the budget for Cardano in general. Please check out all the links and references down below. You can find more at learncardano.io. And if you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up, hit subscribe, click on the notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video.